Public comment?
Morning, Commissioners. I'm Gary Darple, Vice President of Alligator Point St. Teresa Taxpayers Association. We just held our most recent monthly board meeting last Saturday, March 14th. I'm here today to speak about items 22 and 24 on today's agenda, which will be presented by Mr. Pierce. In regard to item 22, the association was pleased to hear that FDOT has moved quickly on the county's request for a reclassification study of Alligator Drive for possible evacuation route designation. The change of status could increase the funding options for maintenance expense on the pending beach nourishment project currently in the engineering phase, and the APSTA strongly supports your reclassification initiative and pledges to assist the Board of County Commissioners where possible. Please let us know if there's some practical way we can support you in these efforts. In regards to item 24, the association was dismayed to hear of FEMA's new bureaucratic requirement that will create another delay in the Alligator Drive project. Everyone involved had hoped it would be under construction by now, and as you're painfully aware, another 6-month delay leaves the area exposed to more damage by a tropical storm, much less a hurricane. The county and the residents would then be faced with a self-perpetuating nightmare. Should a new storm further damage Alligator Drive, FEMA, based on their previous actions, would again start the process over, creating more delays, additional construction costs, and leave a constant public safety hazard unaddressed. We may never realize the goal of Alligator Drive reconstruction because the bureaucratic paperwork process would never end. APSTA understands that there is a limited amount the county can do to pressure FEMA in this situation, and we appreciate the efforts of Mr. Pierce and the Commission to keep the project on track. We support any efforts taken that may mitigate this new delay and offer our assistance to the Board of County Commissioners where possible. Please let us know if there is some practical way we can support your efforts. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
Public comment?
Hi, my name is Lori Simmons. I'm the local nurse practitioner in Apalachicola for Dr. Sonal and Dr. Nincios. I come to talk about supporting TMH as taking the hospital and working with the hospital in Sunday Ascension. We are looking at the nonprofit aspect of TMH. TMH is about the people, not about the money. TMH has always supported the poor people. This is a very poor neighborhood, very poor community. Yes, we do have some rich areas, but most of the people don't have very much cars or means of taking care of themselves. So we're asking that we support TMH because the third leading cause of death is medical malpractice and medical problems. If you do not have your family member being able to be there and advocate for you, how can you advocate for yourself, especially since there's such elderly population and the very poor in this area. It's a very small fishing community, and I've been here 9 years taking care of the poor, and we try to do the very best that we can for people. And try to make sure that they get the best care that they can get. But if you're for profit, you're not going to get the care that you need. They're going to be about the bottom dollar. And TMH has taken over Doctors Memorial and has turned Doctors Memorial into a better healthcare facility than what it is. I've had personally worked for profit and nonprofit organizations in the past. I've worked both sides of the streets for CRMC and TMH. I've also sent friends to there, and I've had a personal friend of mine that actually went to the smaller hospital and actually went for back pain, and he went there multiple times, and he didn't get the care that he needed because he didn't have insurance. Bottom line is a lot of people don't have insurance and can't afford the insurance. If they do have the insurance, the co-pays are up now. Even with the county and the city and the state employees, most of you guys have CHP. Ascension is not going to be on your policy. Only TMH is a provider for it. You guys are looking at a whole new system, and your co-pays have gone up to over $750 to go to the emergency room. We have a huge medical issue. Even out west, They're closing hospitals left and right. They're closing it where the little hospitals don't have any say. And the biggest aspect of this that everybody needs to look at is the critical care access. If you lose your critical care access, you'll never get another hospital in this area. This critical care access is major. If Sacred Heart could have got it, Sacred Heart would have already applied for it. They're losing money left and right. Had they not, they wouldn't be coming looking for this critical care access and turning this into an ER or an urgent care, let alone the people have paid a penny sales tax for 20 years. Who's going to pay back the money if they don't get a hospital? The people voted to get a hospital. Why are we not going to give them a hospital? We can work with the hospital we got, and we need to get people involved and get the community involved and make it a community action hospital. Out west, they're closing these hospitals
Time up,
left and
ma'am.
right.
Time up.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Public comment?
I guess that is I. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Commissioner Bolt has already heard this presentation, so he'll have to hear it again. I'm Jerry Holt. I'm representing the Big Bend Scenic Byway, and so we have just a very brief presentation for you. As you know, the Big Bend Scenic Byway is the only designated byway in Florida that has both state and national status. So we're very proud of that, and Franklin County should also be very proud of that. I want to announce to you that the Wake Showing Project is coming to fruition at last. It's been a number of years, as I understand. I only came on board with the byway this past fall, so I'm still learning some of the history. Your grants manager will understand the exigencies of negative granting and how grants will work, going and coming and so forth. So, the panels have now been written, approved, the graphics have been finalized, and sometime this year, as we have been told, ground will be broken for your panels. The engineering is in process of revision for placement of the panels from the original engineering, and for the sites for the panels in Franklin County. If you will see on the projection here, I believe I have these right. I don't think I went over into Wakulla County, but these are the Franklin County sites where the panels will be erected for the Big Bend Scenic Byway. And lastly, one, I would like to say thank you for Mr. Marone. He has been facilitating everything, kept us in the loop, kept us informed about meetings and so forth. So I appreciate him, but we deeply appreciate the continued collaboration of our local government partners who have contributed so much to the success of the byway.
Thank you. Public comment?
Amy Hodson, Executive Director, St. George Lighthouse Association. Just wanted to let everybody know that we did close the lighthouse yesterday out in an overabundance of caution through the end of the month. Our entire staff is over 60 years old, and to climb the lighthouse, you have to climb through a little small hole on a ladder, and there's just no way to keep everybody safe away. So we have decided we plan to reopen Friday, April 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment?
Hello, Joshua Hodson, manager of St. George Island State Park, Orman House, and the John Gorey Museum, just to give an update and clarification of what our operations are going to be here in the near future. We are canceling, and this is for all of the Florida state parks, all special events, interpretive programs, weddings, pavilion rentals, and the like for the next 60 days. The Orman House and the Gorey Museum are closed for tours right now. St. George Island State Park is abbreviating their hours from 8 until 5 p.m. Normally we are open until sunset. So we're knocking off almost about 3 hours right now, and this is going to remain in effect for the next 60 days until mid-May. And last item is that we are canceling camping reservations as well. Thursday night will be the last night that people will be allowed to camp in any capacity at our state parks for the next 60 days. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment? Okay, no more public comment. Next on the agenda will be Department Director's report. Mr. Howard Neighbor, Superintendent of Public Works.
Good morning, Commissioners. Road Department is gonna keep rolling until further notice. So as y'all know, the inmate situation, we got a call yesterday and they said at least be 30 days before they let the inmates out, so. But our crews will still be working, we still be cutting grass and doing the best we could do, so.
That's all you can do. I
Yes, sir.
mean,
Well, you cut down from 5 to 20, so you're losing 15, basically 15 inmates, 20 inmates right there, so.
So we gonna ask the people of the county to work with us. We got cut back on our crew. We're gonna get to you by and by, but we're gonna be slowed down due to we don't have the help we had.
Exactly, and it's that time of the month too, so everything's growing and, but we got all the roads and stuff graded out. We got 2 roads that closed on account of the high water and stuff, and that's Gardner's Landing and Bloody Bluff. You're gonna have 2 or 3 places on each road that be blowed out. I looked at it yesterday, the water's still pouring across the road, so as of now, we still got them 2 roads closed.
Well, my recommendation to you will be accept the phone call when they call in and tell them you'll get to them when you get to them.
Yes, sir. Well, I
That's
do.
all we can do.
How would that treat it? I mean, you was that rotten tree,
Mhm.
get somebody to cut it, and that one that's hanging over the school bus
Yeah.
is gonna fall on it, get it shoved out the road or something.
Okay, I got up with Ray on them trees with state, and about 70% of them trees is on private property. And the ones in East Point, that big cluster of trees, all them's also on private property. So we gonna, I don't know, if Michael, or we can email the people to see if they wanna cut the trees, or maybe the state could help cut them, or if they okay it, you know, but them trees need to come down, definitely, so.
That one tree's on county property I'm talking about.
Yeah, that one, we cut the top of it out, we get it.
Yeah.
Because it's hitting our equipment when we go by there, motor grader, loader or something on the low boys and stuff. So we're gonna be busted the window out. So,
Yeah, or it's gonna fall on the school bus.
fall, yeah, exactly.
Mr. Schuler, what you recommend on the one, could you give us recommendation what we need to do on that private property stuff?
May I get with Howard to discuss what the scope of the problem is, and then I will chat with him about what some of the options are and report back to the board, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Do that.
Mr. Rowland.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it, that's all.
Page 8, number 27 of my report. At your March 3rd, 2020 meeting, I informed the board that Commissioner Bolt requested that FDOT assistance with adding signage and guardrails at the T intersection of Highway 98 and Seahawk Lane because of what he considered a potential safety hazard for anyone leaving the school at night that's unfamiliar with that exit. FDOT added directional reflective signage on the south side of Highway 98 that will be viewed when exiting the consolidated school. In addition, FDOT recommended a stop ahead warning sign and an oversized stop sign on Seahawk Lane at the Highway 98T intersection. Since this FDOT recommendation was based on Commissioner Bolt's request, I asked the board to consider paying for the sign and having the road department install the sign so that there would be no cost to the school district. I sent FDOT's recommendation along with an email stating the county would be responsible for the purchase and installation of the signs. I have since received a request from the school district to attend the April 20th workshop to present this offer to the school board. It's my opinion, Commissioners, that the offer speaks for itself. However, if the school board is seeking information to qualify why the 2 signs would provide additional safety to vehicle traffic at the intersection, a representative from DOT would be more appropriate. I'm asking the board to rescind the offer to pay for and install the signs at the school district's road, as that will remove the county from this matter. If the school district is interested in FDOT's recommendation, I will forward the contact information for the local FDOT representative. So I'm asking the board to rescind the motion to pay for and install the stop ahead and stop signs on Seahawk Lane as recommended by FDOT.
Pledge of the board.
Commissioner, I mean, to say it, we were trying to do good because it was Commissioner Bolt's request, but for me to attend a meeting and explain why FDOT, if they did traffic studies, I don't know. That's not my role. That's not what I do. I was just trying to do good here.
Well, you done what we told you to do, and look like the outcome coming bad, so let the school handle it, in my opinion.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That
No.
pass unanimous. Go ahead.
You voted no.
Oh. That passes 4-1.
Michael, Mr. Chairman, if I may, Michael, while you're
Yeah.
here,
Yes,
we're
sir.
talking about that. Could you, just for the general public's sake, update them about the actual stuff on the state road, the highway, and what they're doing for that around the school district? With the caution signs, the blinking lights.
Oh, okay, so the lights, the blinking lights that tells you school's in session, slow down, those lights, they've been out since the hurricane, maybe?
yes.
Hurricane Michael, so I had to make a request to FDOT to find out who is responsible for those signs, because in different counties, sometimes it's the school district, sometimes it's the county, sometimes it's FDOT. If this board remembers, a year or more so ago, maybe a little bit longer, we opted out, which in fact then keeps FDOT responsible for the maintenance of those lights. So if we've put in a request, which will be elevated because it's a school, and they're gonna repair the lights coming from either end towards the consolidated school, that same T intersection. And so, yeah, so FDOT is handling that. That answers the question, Commissioner?
No,
Okay.
that's fine. I just want to make sure the public was.
The public is aware of it, what we've done to get those lights working again.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Michael, can you clarify whether it's appropriate to talk to FDOT about adding guardrails seaward of those reflecting signs that currently have as an additional safety barrier?
You mean
Under-
below the directional sign?
Yes, yes, sir.
I have already, Commissioner, twice, and if
Okay.
you want me to ask again, I will, but I haven't. In their study, they didn't determine that guardrails were needed.
They did.
They did not.
They did not.
Yes, they don't think they're needed, but I'll
I
ask
see.
again if you'd like me to.
I know they must have a standard for that determination.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to at least get clarification on that standard because it seems so needed on that cliff.
Actually, I'll do better, I'll do one better than that. I'll have the representative from FDOT give you a call and explain
Please.
why they
Great.
did that. That works?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
You do,
I'm sorry, sir, I'm done. That's it. That's all I have.
Yeah, I'm through, Commissioner.
okay, keep up the good work.
Yes, sir. Yep, take care.
And you know, we try to help the school and everything, but we ain't getting no fight behind those, let it be. Okay, go ahead. Next on the agenda will be Solid Waste Director, Mr. Fonda Davis.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Long.
Only thing I'd like to bring up this morning is that I would like to get the board approval for finance to cut a manual check to Richard's Freight. But we didn't get the invoicing in time.
Okay, how much amount?
It's a little over 9,000.
You're talking about for today's bills?
Yes, yes.
So moved.
Oh, okay.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Parrish. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
That's it, Commissioner, I think you all got enough. Need to add to it. Oh, you got some?
Oh, no, son. Not here. Okay, so back to page 8, item 28 of my report, Commissioners. At your last meeting, the board discussed mandatory garbage pickup for the unincorporated areas of the county and asked Mr. Davis to discuss this matter with some of the local providers. Mr. Davis and I met with 3 local providers, and they all basically had the same request. The first is, in order for this contract to be successful, the contract would have to be an exclusive franchise agreement. Only one company could provide the garbage yard trash pickup in the unincorporated areas of the county. The other is a county ordinance with strong penalties and fines that would make it easier and cheaper for all residents to keep their accounts current, as the other options would be stiff and costly. Representatives from these companies provided other county ordinances that could assist with creating an ordinances of our own if the board decides on proceeding. The board is interested in mandatory garbage pickup. The next step would be for the board to direct Attorney Schuler to provide a draft ordinance for the board's review before advertising public hearing dates.
Pleasure of the board.
So, I don't know if you have any questions for us as we're here, and whatever direction you have, we will follow.
I have a comment, Mr. Chairman. You know, I've been blowed up on social media for what I said at the last meeting, but I don't think everyone fully understood what I was trying to say. I'm glad to see that we have 3 providers that are willing to bill the individual for their garbage pickup. And probably 90% of the county already has garbage pickup. Nobody's gonna take their garbage and just throw it out the back door. It's a sanitary, environmental issue that needs to be rectified. Having said that, I question some of these providers that if they provided, if they were awarded the low bid and awarded the contract and they put a can at everyone's address in the county of Franklin that does not presently have a can, what would be their method of collecting their money? So in other words, they said, well, if people don't pay us, we're gonna pull our can. Well, then you don't have mandatory garbage collection. Most people in the county already have a garbage can, so that's not the person that you're trying to mandate they have garbage collection. Most people already do. Commissioner Lockley, Commissioner Massey live within the 2 municipalities. They're already mandated to have garbage collection. So the point being is, who are you trying to facilitate having garbage collection that doesn't currently have it? Well, if these providers come in, we pass a law or ordinance that says mandatory garbage collection. If they don't pay the people, they're gonna pick their can up. You still don't have mandatory garbage collection. So without a fine that says, you know, if you got a $1,000 fine that costs you $500 a year for garbage collection, which one's cheaper to pay? That's the only way you're gonna make it happen. On the other hand, if you've got elderly people in the community that can't afford the garbage collection, quote, so they say, or, you know, other issues why they can't afford garbage collection, and they don't pay the people and they pull their can, you still don't have mandatory garbage collection. So, you know, how do you make it all work? I don't know, but I agree with what they're saying here. I'm all about trying to clean the county up, but it has to be enforceable across the board. It doesn't matter if you're not able to pay it. You don't have any choice. When you do mandatory garbage collection, they ought to have to pay it or either pay a fine for not paying it. That's the only way you're going to have people comply with mandatory garbage collection. So I just want to put that out there. And you know, you can't have commissioners calling and saying, well, don't charge this person or that person because they don't have the money to pay this month. Don't charge them a $1,000 fine for not complying with mandatory garbage pickup. You can't do that. So if commissioners pass this, I want everybody to understand that they don't need to be calling, because if we move forward with this and we have a low bidder, they all seem to agree that there should be only one person doing it, because you can't go here and pick up a can and go 10 miles down the road and pick up a can. It doesn't make economic sense to do that. So that seems like they're all in agreement that one company should provide the service. And if that company provides the service and somebody don't pay them, so they pull the can, they're to notify the county that this person now no longer has garbage collection. That's when this fine would kick in. Those people would be assessed that fine. Now, if they don't pay the fine, you turn around and put a lien on people's property. They start calling their commissioner that they voted for and elected, saying, oh, you're gonna put a lien on my land now because I can't pay my garbage bill. So see, these are some of the things that this board will be faced with. But if we move forward and we all agree that we want to do mandatory garbage collection, look for your phones to ring, but look also that you won't be able to help these people. So this is what you're asking for, and if we do a mandatory garbage collection, I'm not gonna throw my garbage in the yard, and probably nobody in this room is. But some people are gonna claim that they cannot afford it, and they're gonna call their duly elected commissioner that they voted for to put in office for help. Well, we don't need selective enforcement here. If we're gonna do mandatory garbage collection, I would expect everybody in the county to comply, regardless of the circumstance and regardless of whose district that they're in. And that includes us 5 commissioners also. So we're all in this together, but I'm not opposed to trying to clean up the county. But I know there's gonna be a host of issues that come with this. And these commissioners, including myself, are gonna get phone calls that we can't comply with the law that you just created. I just want the board to be aware of that.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I would move that we direct Attorney Schuler to proceed with the draft ordinance for the board to review. Let's look at all the issues at that point.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Burke.
I'll second it with some discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Got a second by Commissioner Jones. Discussion.
Yes, sir. So what I want to make sure the public is aware of, if we move forward with this, with what the attorney's doing, that doesn't mean he's going to come back and we're just going to do something and nobody's going to have a chance to. There would be public hearings, there would be different things that be involved. It's just a step. Again, just being transparent. We've talked about that several times this morning. The simple fact of the matter is, if we keep doing what we've always been doing, we'll always have what we have now. And what we have now is not working in every case. So I just want to make sure the public is aware that, and my fellow commissioners are aware, the attorney working on something and bringing it back to us does not mean that it's going to be brought up at a meeting, we're going to vote on it without any public input. So, you know, that there is time and place for that.
Yes, and I do emphasize that too. This is only for the purpose of educating us as commissioners. We're not making any other move than that, just to ask for legal education on the matter.
Well, in order to get this, if it have them or when it, if it don't have them, it take about 3 years to process something like this.
Take a while.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, the problem come to me, but the county put our cans out there, and the people using that for garbage can. If they not using that for garbage can, they using the woods. And, hey, we got to do something. Or either they gonna trash up the county. The good got to suffer with the bad. We didn't do it. They doing it to themselves. That's what's happening. In my opinion. Anybody else got anything? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That pass unanimous. That's it. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Fonda.
Next on the agenda be Emergency Management Director, Miss Pam Bonet.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning. They keeping you pretty busy with this.
Yes, sir. I actually have 3 things for action items this morning. That's one of them is not on your agenda, and that is the local state of emergency.
Yeah.
We have been attending all the conference calls from the state, and Sunday afternoon, the state informed us that there is a federal declaration for this virus. It is only for Cat B, and that's protective measures. And they informed us that counties need to go ahead and get their local state of emergency in for acquisitions, meaning they want us to look for our N95 masks, our cleaning, and only request from them once we find out that we cannot get it. So I spoke with Michael, and I requested that as of Monday, March the 16th, that we do our local state of emergency. What I'm asking the board is retroactive that. Vote on it.
Okay. Can I say something before we vote? Well,
Yes, sir.
this is not nothing to scare the public, or we not to hide. We not trying to hide nothing. We doing this so we can get our money.
We're doing this so we can order our supplies in order to protect our first responders,
Right.
again, the citizens in our county.
And see, the county don't have the money, that way we can get it from the state, I mean, the feds.
From the federal government,
From
yes,
the
sir. And
feds.
that's what the state recommended us to go ahead and put our LSEs in.
And if we don't, we'll have to pay for it ourselves, and we don't have that kind of money.
Well, Commissioner, finding the supplies are really hard. We were on the internet all day long yesterday, and I think we came up with some gargles that we could get eye protection because they're better than the shields. We did find a gallon of what is supposed to be really good virus disinfectant. There's not a whole, we bought gloves for our first responders, and again, if, our medical facility needs it. There's not a whole lot of stuff out there. I mean, it's being bought up quickly, and even the state is having a hard time. Now, they told us to put our request in, and they're steady looking to find these supplies so they can fill our orders. Hopefully, being a rural county and not having big box stores in our community, they will fill ours much quicker than they will the larger cities.
Okay. Y'all ready to vote?
Well, Mr. Chairman, let me ask a question.
Go ahead.
Pam, you saying retroactive is still Friday, till last Friday?
No, sir, as of Monday.
As of this, okay,
Yes,
yesterday.
as of yesterday, the
And we need to
16th.
do this by motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Massey.
If-
All in favor?
Mr. Chairman.
I got a
if-
comment too.
Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead.
I'd like to, see if we can get the motion in a second, amend this to include that Commissioner Lockley can, because this has to be redone every week,
Every
rather than
7
calling a
days.
special
Yeah,
meeting
every
to
7
authorize
days.
the chairman to continue to authorize this, emergency declaration until such point is no longer needed.
So I would amend my motion to include that the chairman would be able to, at his discretion, extend these states of emergency.
Update it every week. It'd have to be every 7 days, right?
That's right.
Yes, sir, every 7 days.
Yeah.
The second, Commissioner Master amended his second, so any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous. And once again, that's not, nothing to scare the public, we just being on the offense to the defense.
Can Weems request ventilators and other breathing apparatus that they may need for someone that may test positive and that's older, that has a breathing issue? Can that be done under this?
Yes,
Okay.
it can. They just have to put their request into me, into my office, and then we upload it to the state.
Yeah, because I talked to the CEO, we're gonna request 4.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you.
That's the best thing to do, have them, don't wait,
Be ready.
be ready. Okay.
Second item is requesting the board signing an approval of the CERT, that's the Community Emergency Response Team grant in the amount of $5,000.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Parrish. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
Okay, third thing is opening of the RFQ, request for qualifications for the Board of County Commission, for the Franklin County EOC Architect, Engineering, and Design Services. We will have, this is for qualification, it's not a bid per se, because it was a set amount for this. We do want to look at qualifications and judge by that. We will have a committee that will review these and come back to the board with the winning contractor. That committee will be our consultant, Tracy Bugsby, the management expert, will be on that committee. Myself and Tress Dameron will do the scoring on them.
Pleasure to vote.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion on
Need to
the,
open them.
oh, got to open.
Gonna open it now?
We better get moving then.
Yeah, I was
We're moving fast now.
trying to catch up.
And while they're opening them and Pam read them aloud, I just want to let you know for the record, board record, that's item 8 on your agenda, okay? That's the same thing. What you're doing now is item 8 on your agenda.
Yeah, we got behind. I was trying to speed up to catch it.
It's all good.
First one is submitted by Dewberry Engineers, and they are from Port St. Joe. The second one is from CRA Architect. And they are from Tallahassee.
And just give for the perspective, so these are architects who are helping design a structure that, at this point, we have $200,000 of design fees available from the state of Florida, but at this point, no construction money. This legislative session is not over yet, but I don't think we're gonna get any construction money out of the legislature. You all have assigned allocated construction money for a certain size building in your consortium funds, but as you know, we reallocated those consortium funds to dredge the east point of the 2 Mile Channel. So I just tell you that there won't be a rush on the design because right now there's not a source of construction money.
Well, let me ask you a question, Mr. Fields, how long, when we get this in, would it be in effect? I mean,
Well, the contract's gonna be, you select the best qualified person, sign a contract for design, and you can negotiate that. You might give them a year. I don't know what to do. I mean, my point is, you don't need to say, we need to have this design in 30 days because there's no construction money available right now. It's gonna be at least a year, probably 2 years before we have construction.
I guess I'm trying to say, will this last a couple of years?
Well, you can make that, that's what you negotiate.
Okay.
I mean, the state money, I believe, I think we can get an extension on the state money. It was actually allocated last legislative session. We didn't know about it until several months later, so they didn't tell us about it. But I suspect that there's a process, because in all the other grants we've ever got from the legislature, they allow, a year and a half to spend the money. So I think there's an adequate time, probably at least a year to get this thing designed.
But
It could be long.
typically when they, Mr. Chairman, typically when they allow you to have this, architecture and design money, then they'll follow up. Could very well follow up with some construction dollars.
Well, they could, and since they did design and engineering last year, they should have done construction this year, but it doesn't look like they did. Now, we're not done yet, but that's where, I don't think we're in the running right now. So it could possibly, you're right, Commissioner Parrish, maybe next year they would do it, but we just don't know.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, Pam, I just wanted to reemphasize the conversation you and I had just a while ago about relative to Island View Park. We had discussed the potential of cleaning up a piece of it so that the public could get access to it. But your professional opinion is that is not wise. So I just want to reemphasize that I went and visited the site last week when staff was there, and I can see how it's got lots of irregularities in it and so on. It would be just very difficult to assure safety of the public. Would that be the summary of our conversation so that everybody knows that?
Yes, sir. There's a lot of undermining of those walkways. You have no railings on your piers right now.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so washed out and so broke up
Mhm.
that it would be a liability for the county if you opened that up.
And there was a discussion about, well, we fence off all the area you just mentioned and only allow parking, but still, there's that potential of breaching all of that. And we really need to stand by until we get it properly afforded.
I have seen the scope of work, and we signed off on that. So hopefully,
have this set for
the
11.
federal government will go ahead and push that through.
Okay, good. Good to hear that.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Ms.
Go ahead.
Pam, I know that we've had ongoing discussions about some other projects that we're waiting FEMA to commit to mitigate those projects, basically to harden them than they were before Hurricane Michael,
Yes, sir.
so they wouldn't immediately have problems again. And we still have not got any of those mitigated requests
They are in
checked
the,
off.
they are in the process of writing the scopes of work. So once the scope of work is written and they approve it, then we'll let the county know and they can go out for bid.
Okay.
Okay. That's it. Got anything? Keep up the good work, Mr. Chairman.
Get on conference call.
And keep us, let us know what's going on with that virus. Next on the agenda will be the Extension Office Director, Eric Love.
You missed one. You missed one, Mr. Chairman. You missed one. You skipped over the sheriff's.
Huh?
You skipped one on the agenda.
I did?
On this agenda, Sheriff Finance Officer Jennifer Copeland.
Eric is still under your department head.
I'm just going in what's in the order here. Unless I'm looking at it wrong. Maybe it's at the bottom of it. My bad. My bad.
Okay.
Sorry if I'm out of
You're
order.
good.
We'll get this done quick.
RFP, I got you. I see what happened.
You okay now?
Yep, I was just mistaken.
Okay.
Happens all the time.
We
Good
all
morning,
good.
Commissioners.
That-
I don't have anything extra to add to my report, but I did want to mention a couple of things. University of Florida considers all of the county extension directors as essential personnel, so I will be on the clock going forward, reachable for any questions you might have, okay? And also, we will follow the county's policy guidelines in terms of any potential office closures, so the university's not shutting us down at the county extension office. All right? Contact me
sir.
anytime if you need to.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we have an 11 o'clock public hearing.
Okay, well, it's time.
May I proceed?
That's on
Yeah.
page 5, item 17, but skip ahead a bit.
Okay, we're going to the public hearing. Page 5.
Yes, sir, page 5, item 17, is the very top of that.
Okay.
May I proceed, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is a public hearing on an ordinance regulating the time for sale of alcoholic and intoxicating beverages, repealing ordinance 2016-05, providing for a penalty, providing for severability, and an effective date. This ordinance, what you have in front of you is a redlined version. The underlined language is new information that being proposed for being added to the ordinance. The strike-through language is language that is being deleted from the ordinance if the board should approve it. The gist of this ordinance, Commissioners, is that you are extending the time for the sale of these alcoholic and intoxicating beverages from midnight to 1 a.m., so you're giving one additional hour year-round, whereas under your old ordinance, there was a season where there was the extended hours, and then there was what we call the off-season, which was allowed to sell alcoholic beverages until midnight. Under this proposed ordinance, the sale could occur throughout the year until 1 a.m. And also, just for the record, that this ordinance applies only to the unincorporated areas of Franklin County. It does not apply either to the city of Carabel or the city of Apalachicola. And Mr. Chairman, at this time it would be appropriate, unless there are any questions the board has for me, to call for public comment.
Okay. Y'all got any question for Mr. Schuler? I guess we call for public comment.
Don't wait.
Okay. Public comment, you want me to call or you gonna call? Public comment,
Public comment, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir.
okay, public comment, if any. Public comments, if any. Mr. Schuler, I called for public comment twice, don't look like we got none.
Mr. Chairman, if the board has no questions for me, you are now in a position where the board can vote to either approve the ordinance as submitted, reject it, or if you have proposed modifications, we can discuss that as well.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Mathis. Any more discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimous.
That concludes the public hearing, Mr. Chairman. Next item on the agenda.
Next item on the agenda, we go back to,
Page 3, Sheriff, Finance Officer.
yeah. Next on the agenda be Sheriff Finance Officer, Ms. Ginger Colton. Grant discussion.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Michael.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here to talk to you this morning about a few grants. The first I
get
want to
your
go
name,
ahead
ma'am.
and talk about and get out of the way is the 2018,
Let me get your name. Ms.
oh, I'm
Ginger.
sorry, Ginger Coulter, Franklin County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you.
The 2018-19 FDLE narcotics grant. FDLE has been running tremendously behind, and it filters down from the federal level due to the sanctuary city situations a few years ago and the federal government shutdowns that tied up all of the federal funding to the state level, which in turn tied up the state level funding to the local governments. So the 2018-2019 grant revenues were just received on this grant year. So we're asking for that $45,574. I've given you a worksheet, as well as some auction proceeds, and we're asking to keep that in our budget to offset some of the expenses that you see on the chart underneath. We got the new investigations building. As you may recall, it was damaged during the hurricane, but prior to that, it had some mold issues, and the county insurance did cover that, but we were responsible for the setup and the electrical, all of the fiber optics, all of that running out to the new building out of our budget. So a huge portion, if you can look at this chart and see, a huge portion of that has gone towards that expense, as well as the new communications center. And the narcotic buy funds to date, as you can see, is very expensive. And again, we have not been receiving the revenues from FDLE yet to reimburse us for any of that stuff, other than past revenues. So that's what I'm asking for first, is to keep the $57,178.25 in our budget this year, so we do not have to seek that from outside resources.
Pledge of the vote.
So move.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Burke, second by Commissioner Mathis. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimous.
Thank you. The second item is for a grant for this current year. It is for $51,996. I believe that will be the final amount. That could change. And of course, if that does, I'll have to come back at the end of the year for an amendment. That is with Big Bend Mental Health. There is a new state mandate, you may or may not be aware, especially when dealing with juveniles and students in the school system. If they are exhibiting certain types of behavior, we have 1 hour to have them see a professional medical physician who specializes in psychiatric issues and behavioral issues and other issues that I really don't want to get into detail to protect the identity of the juveniles. That is a new state mandate. We have 1 hour to provide that. What this grant does is cover the costs for all of the anything to do with that. Overtime, the transport, because we have to transport the juvenile out of county to Leon County usually. I'll try to answer any questions I can on that. Of course, like I said, we are dealing with juveniles, and so we do not disclose too much information as to avoid identifying the juveniles in those situations.
Pledge of the vote.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Massey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That pass unanimous.
Thank you. And the next couple of items up for discussion is, there's a couple of items that need to be signed. One is from the Office of the Attorney General. That is for a victim advocate grant. I believe Michael has the papers here. We have the audit every year. We have to provide to the Office of the Attorney General for our single audit by, I believe it's February the 1st. Of course, our single audit has not been completed, so we're having to file an extension, extending that time. So that's one of the documents that we prepare for signature. The other is for the current year for the FDL Lee grant. It's a letter, it's the 51% letter that the county and the cities have to agree upon for the county to receive the money for the funding. It's a letter we do every year. We have that letter, and also, I think I have another one in here. You did print the other one? That's okay, we'll get that signed. I need the certificate of participation signed today as well. That is for the upcoming year. They're behind, but they've already sent out their certificate of participation. And what this does, every year you have to sign this, appointing us to be able to write the grant, receive the grant, and do all of the grant paperwork is what this is for. And I'll pass this on to Michael. And if you have any questions on that, I'll be glad to answer.
Pleasure to vote.
So moved.
So,
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That pass unanimous.
And what that does, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Item 29 of my report, that kind of washes item 29 of my report, so we're good with that. We can consider that done.
Mr. Chairman, while Ginger's still, can I ask her a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Ginger, I just want to clarify something you said a minute ago. So, under this new mandate from the state
Correct.
concerning mental health and students,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a 1 hour time frame, how are we taking them to Leon County?
Well, we have to have them seen by a physician within an hour. So what we have, the SROs are equipped with tablets, and we do it by cell phone as well if the tablets aren't working, and we communicate with the physician. That allows us to get them within that first hour, and then from there, we do the transports.
Okay. Well, I wanted to ask too, because not just so I would know, but
Sure.
now the public also knows.
Yes, it is handled
Taken
pretty
care of.
quickly. They're doing a great job of handling that situation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ginger, what is the narcotics buy fund? What is that?
The narcotics buy funds, that is where investigators buy drugs illegally.
Literally.
Covertly, yes. Any other questions for me?
Any more questions? Anybody got any?
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda will be the TDC Administrator, Mr. John Solomon.
We have to get some.
The police can buy some dope.
As he said.
I think he stepped out.
All right, John gone.
John had an appointment, doctor's appointment, so he left, but there are no action items on his report. So if you have any questions, let me know, commissioners, and I will forward them on to John. And he can get back to you.
I just have a statement from his report.
Go ahead.
December of 2019, we were up 12% over December of 2018 on our collections.
So you're
So the message is definitely getting out there.
Yeah.
Head of the game. That's good. That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
He'll talk to you, Commissioner.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Next on the agenda, I guess the people been waiting on this. East Point Civic Association, Ms. Lynn Martinez. There you go, Ms. Betty. How you doing?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Y'all recognize that face, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm Lynn Martina, President of the newly formed East Point Civic Association. We actually formed the association in July of last year. Just been working on little things, having a lot of roundtable discussions. We just wanted to be a voice for East Point. And I'm not saying we don't have one, Ricky, don't take that
You're
wrong. East Point's growing in leaps and bounds. I'm sure as you go through there, there's new properties being cleared off every day, new businesses every day, and we're excited about it. We're glad to see it coming. Our county's in a bad situation with the Bay being in the situation it's in. So we're glad to see anything and anybody that wants to come in the county to start a business, to provide jobs. We're all excited about it. We've recently, they're just completing, just started on it Saturday and are almost done with it, a new pavilion at the cemetery. We have people come, we want everybody to join that will join. Make suggestions. We just want to see what everybody wants East Point to look like. You know, we have a lot of ideas that we want to do. We have about 59 members now, 20 businesses. Everybody's just real excited to get it going and to get things moving forward and make it better in East Point. We are asking for you guys to authorize us to apply for a USDA Rural Business Development Grant, which will provide funding for a completion of the East Point Waterfront Feasibility Study. We've met with USDA and they seem to think we would, you know, we stand good to get this. We've had Betty Webb working with us and she's directing us, you know, there's funding everywhere and we're not aware of the fundings that are available. So we pulled Betty in and she's kind of semi-retired. We're pulling her out of retirement. She's a busy lady, but she's been very helpful and we're excited to have her helping us out in every way she can.
Good,
We have Jimmy Sapp is the vice president, Joyce Estes is the secretary, and Donnie Gay is the treasurer. We've had several meetings, very productive meetings. Everybody's, like I say, is just real excited to get this going. So we're hoping we'll be working with you guys hopefully a lot in other areas too, and we'll need your help.
I make a motion for them to fill out for the grant.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner.
I second the letter of support.
Second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
Thank you.
Go
Betty?
ahead.
Hello, Betty Webb. You all, most all of you know me, I think. The one thing that we need to also to approve is the signing of the resolution that's required for the grant application. Basically, it's given the authority for the East Point Civic Association to make the application and manage the grant.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Mathis. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Oh, I got it. You go ahead. You start with the board.
I just want to just add a little bit to what Lynn said.
Say your name.
My name is Rex Pennycuff, a member of East Point Civic Association Incorporated. We hoping that this group will be a point of contact for y'all and the public so that we can get ahead of some things that we've seen happen other places in the county, like with St. George Island. Hopefully we can be a conduit that we can help y'all shape what we want East Point to look like before we have so much growth and development go on that we're trying to retroact stuff. And we really are here just to be a voice for the citizens of East Point, but also a communication so that y'all can communicate with us and we can help y'all help us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all got it.
Thank you, guys.
Keep up the good work. Next on the agenda will be the Board of Adjustment, Ms. Amy Kelly report.
I'm sorry, I hit the wrong one. Good morning.
Good morning.
This morning, we have a consideration of a request to construct a house 5 feet into the front setback. on property described as Lot 2, Holiday Beach, Unit 1, 37 Carousel Terrace, Alligator Point, Franklin County, Florida. Request submitted by Elva Peppers, Florida Environmental Land Services, agent for Wayne and Susan Johnson. The Board of Adjustments, they voted to approve it unanimously, so the board action would be to approve, table, or deny.
Pleasure to vote.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Burt, second by Commissioner Master and Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimously.
Okay, the second item is to consider a consideration of a request to construct a house 12 feet into the front setback on property described as Lot 3, Block 62, St. George Island, Gulf Beaches, Unit 5, 331 Land Street, St. George Island, Franklin County, Florida. Request submitted by Alan Anderson, applicant. It was a recommendation from the Board of Adjustments unanimously to approve.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Ms. Amy, are they doing this because they've lost property in the canal? In other words, the canals, they've lost property on the backside? Is that what they're asking for?
I don't know that they've lost property, but it is a smaller, but the applicant is here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, I'm just trying to understand what we're doing.
Go around, get what we want.
That's all good.
But they have, you know, I don't have at the very top, you'll see at the north side of the property, they have the 50-foot setback from the critical habitat.
Mhm.
In order to stay 50 feet from that, they're requesting to shift down 12 feet into the front setback.
Okay.
But it's,
You would still have a full right-of-way. I'm not getting into the right-of-way. It's just that extra 25 feet, so there will still be 38 feet clear.
Okay.
And I may not need all that. If I do any, I'll keep it from the back forward, so if I have a couple of feet or 4 feet left, which I'm working on now, I'll go back. If I don't need it, I won't use it.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Master. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimously. Okay,
that-
next on the, will be the planning and zoning.
okay.
Ms. Amy Kelly, report. Go
We
ahead.
have a consideration of a request to construct a 106 by 4 foot boardwalk over vegetation and 134 foot by 4 foot single-family private pier with another 141 foot by 4 foot boardwalk over additional vegetation, and a 26 by 6 step-down terminal platform on property described as Lot 5 Silent Waters, 2930 Creekside Drive, Carabel, Franklin County, Florida. They have all their state and federal permits. Request submitted by Garlic Environmental Agency for David Mills, applicant. And they have a proposed house. Planning and zoning recommended it for approval, a 4-to-1 vote.
Pleasure to vote.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Master, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
The Planning and Zoning Board and I, we had a discussion concerning the requirement of state and federal permits and whether the county would like to require a DEP exemption at minimum. Exemptions go through a process and will require a site plan and will at minimum provide us with documentation as whether a federal permit will be required. Self-certifications are an application that the owner can apply for, but DEP does not see a plan. As long as they stay within a certain square footage, they're approved with their self-certification. We still have to bring it to the Board of County Commissioners and Planning and Zoning for approval of that doc, but with a self-certification, it's left up to the, they give them, it's like a trust mechanism with the DEP and the client. But so we're asking the board if they would be willing to allow us to only accept exemptions at minimum.
Pleasure to vote.
I don't understand what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't understand either.
Okay,
What's wrong
with
with the
us-
process that we now have?
Yes.
What's wrong with that process?
Go ahead, Mr. Shooter.
Before the board takes action on this, as you know, I do not regularly attend the PNC meetings. I'm hearing about this for the first time. I'm not going to say anything wrong with that, but when we start talking about changing our processes and not necessarily accepting regulations that have been authorized and approved by the state government, I would like an opportunity to look at this to see if you have the authority to do what you're being asked to do, because this request has not had legal review at this juncture.
Okay.
Motion to table.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Parrish, to table. All in favor?
Aye.
DEP.
All opposed? That passed unanimous. Table contingent on the lawyer.
Okay. Number 15, we have a consideration of a request for commercial site plan review to install a 16-foot by 64-foot modular office lying in Section 31, Township 8 South, Range 6 West, 279 Patton Drive, East Point, Franklin County, Florida. Request submitted by Mike and Paige Richards, applicant.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Massey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimous.
Okay. Number 16, we have a consideration of a request for a public hearing to rezone Lot 17, Block Z, Lanark Beach, Unit 1, 2118, Highway 98 East, Lanark, Franklin County, Florida, from C4 mixed-use residential to C3 commercial recreation. Request submitted by Garlic Environmental Associates, agent for Team Golson Motorsports, applicant.
Pleasure to vote.
Question, why was there a unanimous vote to deny a public hearing? What's?
We had the application for the rezoning and the survey. We didn't have like what they were proposing to do. They're proposing to put in a RV park. And then in C3, they do have the 50-foot setback from the critical habitat, but there are no other setback conditions. And they made a motion to deny the request for a public hearing.
We can't deny a public hearing.
And I did attach all the documentations to this file, if you'd like to see it.
If we get, well, anytime somebody asks for a public hearing, we got to get them or the county will be in trouble. We have to get to them. I mean, that don't mean we don't vote for whatever, be on it or not. So, I'm gonna ask the board to give them the public hearing. Oh,
So moved.
Yeah. Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Burke. Discussion. Is that right, Mr. Schuler?
Yes, sir, that has been the county's policy for as long as I've been here, Attorney.
That's what I was thinking.
May I speak on this, please? Dan Garlick for the applicant. I think there probably was a lot of, unfortunately, this is the first time I missed a P&Z meeting in a while for something like this. But I think there was a lot of confusion involved in this project, and I'll make sure it gets squared away before the hearing is there. I'll get that information to Amy, but I just think that there was a lot of misunderstandings with the board, and that's why they did what they did, even though I still don't understand why they would not even allow for a public hearing. It doesn't make any sense to me either.
Okay.
But thanks.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimously.
Okay, that concludes my reports.
Okay. Keep up the good work, Ms. Amy.
Commissioner, before you move on to the next agenda item, I know we're heading close. So we had our, like the chairman said, things changed rather quickly. So we had our discussion this morning about, what's going on and health-wise, the coronavirus, so forth and so on. I just got a notification on my phone, and I went to do further research. So based on WCTV and their website, I'll read the first couple of lines. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced on Tuesday that all nightclubs and bars in the state will close for 30 days. The business will be ordered to shut down starting at 5 p.m. Tuesday. The governor is also implementing a 50% capacity limitation on restaurants and asking that seating be staggered and limited. He's also encouraging people to utilize takeout and delivery and requiring restaurants to screen all employees for symptoms of illness. So, as you guys realize, and you said this morning, things change, not even day to day anymore, hour to hour. I will try and get this verified through the Department of Health, and because it's obvious we're gonna run past lunch today, and before I start my report after lunch, try and have verified information through the Department of Health for you.
Okay.
But it's not us.
Right.
Sir.
Mr. Chairman, could you, we need to get this out,
Yeah.
on the radio, whatever, however we can get it out to the public on our website.
Yes, sir.
But we also, being as I got your attention right now, we also need to integrate what the State Park Service is doing
Okay.
on the island. All this needs to be put out there for the public to know that State Park's closing, and it's all been ordered basically by the governor. So that we don't, my phone don't continue to blow up the way it was yesterday and today, that we were closing beaches, we were closing restaurants, we were closing. One call said we're shutting down the entire St. George Island, and there'll be a roadblock on the bridge, and you can't go over there. I mean, it's just all kind of phone calls and innuendos and fake news, as you said this morning, or whatever you want to call it, rumor mill. But all this information that you're reading to us is factual, but it's not based on what the Board of County Commissioners done. It's based on the governor and what he's decided to do, such as closing the schools, and now we're getting a little more serious and having to do other things. But we need to get this information out to the public.
Okay.
You said restaurants have to reduce by 50%?
50% of you stagger seating, and make sure it's limited. Stagger and limited.
And that's to be where you can keep people away from each other?
Well, the 6 feet recommendation, I guess, I'm assuming from table to table is what I'm assuming he's trying to do.
Okay.
It's a whole new world.
Oh, Lord. All bars are closed?
Bars.
Regardless of hour of
5 o'clock
operation.
today.
Regardless of the hours of operation, they're closed for 30 days?
Yeah.
Okay.
30 days.
No more
So,
party.
as I'm hearing Alan and Aaron talk in the background, I wonder how this applies to the combo bar restaurants.
Well, it depends how you're
Bar-
licensed.
bars
All these things are
like
regulated by the state of Florida, and that's the
True.
state of Florida issue. They'll
Yeah.
determine if you're a bar or if you're a restaurant. Depends on ratio of seat, of where seats are.
And the type of liquor license you have and
That's
stuff
all-
like
That's
that.
all their problem.
Professional regulation, huh?
Right, right.
Yeah,
Because we don't issue occupational license here, so it's not a county responsibility.
yeah. I'm sure glad the room is a lot clearer when I just announced that, so.
That mean everybody going into rehab.
That's great. Involuntary at that, too. Any last call here?
That is forced rehab.
All right, next on the agenda,
Is Ms. Deborah Belcher next?
yeah,
Yeah,
CDBG Administrator, Ms. Deborah Belcher.
Deborah, what I'm passing out is the picture you took this morning. That's what I'm circulating.
So, good morning. Debbie Belcher, Remelis Planning and Development Services. We've been discussing a particular applicant for home replacement in East Point Fire Zone. And as we've discussed in the past, the state does require that the homeowners or property owners have their property, reasonably free of trash, debris, weeds, junk, all of that kind of thing. And so just wanted you to see, this has been going on for over a year. And I have not recommended to you that we proceed with this application because of this. And so at this point, it's happened so many times, and I guess I'm Satan or something like that. I don't know, but I want the board to direct me as to whether this is acceptable or not. And then there's one other issue about the owner is insisting that they need a 4-bedroom home instead of a 3-bedroom because they have 3 children. So I got some pricing so you could see what that would cost. The board's normal policy is $75,000 is the limit. It can be waived and has been waived in the past for different reasons. The most that has been awarded under this East Point Fire Grant is $80,000 to date for this, for anyone under the home replacement for the fire. So those are two issues. I just want board directions.
Pleasure to vote.
Mr. Chairman, has there been any other four-bedroom trailers bought?
No, sir.
One question I have.
How much a full bed cost?
Well, I got a price, it's in my report. I asked Ironwood Homes for an estimate, and this is not a formal bid, but an estimate of what it would cost to provide a four-bedroom of comparable quality to what we've been purchasing. What we've been doing is, I have written specifications for the bid packages, and, for example, higher levels of insulation. The state and HUD are very focused on, energy efficiency, that type of thing. We've upgraded the quality of flooring, cabinets, that kind of thing. Those are the items that tend to wear. So we're trying to make these as durable as reasonably possible. We're not going, totally upscale, but just trying to get some of the more functional things in. So using a comparable line of product with just the four-bedroom instead of the normal three-bedroom single-wide, the estimate was $106,455. So then I said, all right, what's pretty much the least you could do but still have the upgraded insulation? And that was $90,530. Estimate, again, estimate. It's a five-person household, 2 boys, 1 girl. I mean, 2 girls, 1 boy, I'm sorry, and the couple.
Okay. They had a 4 in the beginning?
Don't think so. I'm not sure. I can't remember now. They added on to a single wide.
That'd be with additions.
Yeah, I know.
And the most we've paid is 80,000?
Yes, sir. We've
With
been
the
dealing with 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom.
Would the $90,000 one just be less stuff in it?
It would, yeah, lower quality than the 106. It's also a little smaller. It's like 1,568 square feet.
Will it accommodate them? The 90,000?
It would. I mean, in terms of, yeah, I mean. I mean, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath is what we've been purchasing, pretty much the largest ones that they make. That's what we've been getting up to this point. So it's your decision whether you, well, first of all, my recommendation is that we not proceed with anything considering the property at this stage. But if you want me to go ahead and submit the environmental review with it looking like that, I will. Otherwise, we'll wait. And then the issue of whether to pursue a 4-bedroom or not.
How many people, Mr. Chairman? How many people that got a 3-bedroom, if you buy a 4-bedroom, are gonna come back now and want a 4-bedroom and not a 3-bedroom that you bought?
We have one person who has a 3-bedroom on order who had 2 grandchildren that apparently would move back with her if she, when she gets the home that she has, that at that point she would have 3 children in her home. The others have had smaller households.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Debbie, I really don't even see how you have the room to get any trailer or any modular home in and out of this property. It seems that the first standard is that this family needs to cooperate with us, period. Look how far we have gone forward in considering everything. And I also am concerned about precedents that are set. As we start switching bedrooms for bedrooms and the chaos that may include, and I don't want to go that way either. But I think number one, standard of practice, we got to get this cleaned up.
How old's that picture?
This morning.
Let me say this. My name is Anna Kramer. This is my home discussing. Let me get the microphone if you don't mind. I have compromised with every last thing that has been required of me. That condition it is in, if you don't notice, the dumpster, since she calls herself Satan, you're not only holding back a family, I also have a disabled child that is also being held back, that is not being taken into consideration. I have done everything. I have made phone calls. I have made compromises for the last 2 years. Myself and my family has made the ultimate sacrifice. She acts like we are not allowed to have possessions because everyone else's home is burnt to the ground. They don't have possessions. So I'm supposed to throw everything I own away, everything we've accumulated since the fire away? Is that how that's supposed to work? Because I've made sacrifices. She's not showing you the pictures of things that she missed when she's supposed to be back on this date and she doesn't show up. The raking, the throwing away, the heavy lifting, everything that we've done, everything that we've accomplished. So why are we being downed? Why are we being pushed to the side? I have a 14-year-old teenager. I have a 3-year-old, he'll be 3 next month, son. I have a daughter who is disabled who will luckily be 2 in June, who has endured several surgeries, who has endured all of this stress and trauma. The stuff my family's going through, my son is going to counseling as a 2-year-old child for stress and depression and anxiety. And none of that's taken into consideration. Miss Becky can have 2 mobile homes put into her home and we haven't even got 1. We also had to compromise with her. We added an addition. So we have 4 bedrooms. My trailer is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. You're gonna pull the trailer out, you're gonna put a 3-bedroom back. That's only right. That's what that is. But she says she can't do that. You can't do that. I have compromised. I have been nice. I've done everything that's been asked of me. Myself and my family, almost losing my family in the process of this.
I got a question for you.
Go
Can
ahead,
you live in
sir.
a 3-bedroom?
I have a 3-bedroom,
Can you live
2-bath
in a
mobile home.
3-bedroom home right now? Can
With
you
an
live in a
addition.
trailer? Can you live in the single-wide trailer if we get it?
Yeah. With the addition attached. She wants to
Can-
knock the addition down. There's 4 bedrooms.
Can you,
There's
if
a
you put the
dwelling.
addition to it, you could live in it?
If the addition stays, yeah.
Okay.
But if the addition's knocked down, no. You can't house a boy and a girl together.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna put my 2-year-old and my 14-year-old in the same room.
I'm fixing to settle this. I'll make a motion to get her the single-wide trailer hooked addition to it. If they can get the trailer in there, fine. I'll make a motion.
I also say that she had someone who does the demolition process come in. He said, there's no reason why we can't have one there. We just need to knock these couple trees
Just hold
down.
on. I made a motion.
So,
I got a motion on the floor.
Got a
by-
second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Masters, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
That passed.
Pass.
Okay.
There you go. You got it.
so there's nothing else needed for me.
Nope, you got it.
Wait,
Thanks.
let me ask one more question. So,
I'm saying
Deborah,
nothing else needed. She's still working with Ms. Deborah on everything they're doing to get the home there.
yeah,
But as far as discussion, we're done with that.
yeah, but I do have a question about the environmental. Is the board comfortable with Deborah sending in the environmental report as you see in the picture? And see what the state says?
Fine.
That's fine. That's
Got
what we do between them and the property.
If they got a problem with it, we ain't got no problem with it.
That's, I'm sorry?
That's presumed from the motion to
Oh,
move forward.
I didn't get that, okay.
We ain't got no problem with it. If the state is, that's them. I can't.
One thing I do need to make you aware of, when we
That's what you
do,
meant, Commissioner, I understand that.
when we do CDBG grant housing, we have to make sure the entire dwelling meets their standards. So the last time I was there, I walked through the existing add-on with Ms. Creamer and pointed out several things that would need to be taken care of. So I don't know if you want to require them to make those improvements, or you want to add that rehabilitation cost to the cost of the single wide.
Question. In your estimation, and the problem is this is gonna get in a really sketchy area. Your estimation, how much money are you talking about?
Well, first of all, I don't know that the new home would line up with the opening of the existing add-on. You'd have to attach, the doorway openings, and then there's probably a few $1,000s worth of work that would need to be done to the existing structure.
Is this back in the add-on?
The front, the white siding, that's the add-on in the front.
Oh, the white is the
White is
add-on?
the add-on.
Can we not just inspect the mobile home that you're putting in there as their house, and if they move the add-in or they align it on their own, at their own time, through coming to the county and permitting and do it themselves, can you just not inspect the mobile home as the only, as their living, their living unit? If they choose to put the addition on a later time, after your inspection, that's not possible?
My only concern is that it's likely that HUD will be monitoring this grant because it's a larger grant as
Yeah.
opposed to just DEO monitoring, so I don't know.
So if I may, I apologize, Commissioner, if I may, Chairman, if I may address. Anna, here's the deal. The deal is basically you get the trailer. You're gonna have to deal with that until HUD does the inspections, and then you could deal with your add-on afterwards. You understand what you're saying?
Whatever we need to do.
All right.
I'm just saying it's been 2 years and everyone else has received help and I'm just waiting on us.
We haven't finished everyone, sweetie.
Yeah, well,
There's still
long
people
way
that
to
haven't
go.
got trailers.
I just have another comment. Just what are we going to do if we're breaching the protocols of how these loans and monies are distributed? When we make exceptions like this and breach a standard, there's going to be a surveyor come in at the state or federal level and say, stop. We didn't deal with this when we gave you this money. And I'm just concerned about the expert here who's given us recommendations, and I think we may be in some problems of breaching standards.
So
Look here. The trailer in the back, right?
Yes, sir.
And the white part is the addition. Okay. They moved the trailer and,
I can pull the trailer out there myself. I can pull that trailer out of there myself, take it to Mr. Fonda. I actually thought about it a couple times.
I don't see no problem. I mean, wow. I wanna get this on over with. We done, just,
Mr. Chairman, I want to say something. This is more for the public benefit than anything else. So as far as us exceeding or us voting to raise the limit for this one issue, that is at this board's discretion. That's why we've done it before. So I don't think there's any kind of worry of a clawback measure or something we're done wrong. Commissioner Bolt, this all started because the governor of the state of Florida did not declare this an emergency. So the county commission, even though this is somewhere we probably really shouldn't be in, voted to go after this grant. The state did allow us to receive CDBG funding to the tune of about 5 years, all at one time, to start this process. So just to clarify and make sure the public's still aware of what we're doing, that's what we're working on. And we're trying to help all families that were burned out or otherwise affected by this wildfire.
So may I ask again for clarification? What you're authorizing is the purchase of a single-wide 3-bedroom home
That's right.
Exactly. She
like
can
we
hook-
normally purchase.
Right.
And then the creamers may, well, and it may or may not line up, the doorways may or may not line up with the existing structure, because they have a doorway between the add-on and their existing home. So that may or may not add up. So do we, like, if the state approves this, which I'm thinking they won't until more work is done on the property, but if they do, so do we put the normal steps, landing and steps out and not have it attached and let them build a connector later?
I would recommend that, Commissioner. Let it be a standalone and let the creamers decide in the future what they want to do about the adding and creating.
Right.
That's what I would recommend, for the record.
Yeah, cause they can put a little breezeway there or whatever.
They can knock it down and build something else. They might decide to build something, but let that be on them. Right now, we're just putting in the regular single wide unit we put for everybody else, and the creamers will figure out the rest.
That'd be good. I mean, hey, the people, they didn't ask to be in the fight.
We did that.
They didn't ask to be in the fight. And the state should be in there doing it. They putting all the burden on us and the creamer, but them people didn't ask for this.
I was
They
being
were-
pregnant. I wasn't in my yard saying, please burn my house, I can tell you.
Yeah.
I had a baby at 4 o'clock in the morning after being up all night.
There's nobody over there asked for no fight. And they were perfectly satisfied with the trailer they had and whatever. Now, they supposed to replace it. They sure not supposed to replace the people's homes, or they should have bought, the one they need to be fussing at, they ain't have no experts over there lighting that fire. They had them people over there, that buddy system.
But I'm with you, Chairman, but I understand, not to prolong this situation, but also keep in mind, the county did not start this fire.
Right.
We're here trying to help.
We're trying to help.
So this is not, I keep hearing it's the county's fault and what we owe. No, we're trying to help because the state basically, anyway, they went around the situation.
Yeah.
To be, so we're trying to help. Ms. Belcher's role is to make sure that, kind of Commissioner Bolt's concern, is that if we don't do anything wrong, so there's a clawback. And the clawback comes from the ad valorem, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why we have to follow the rules, because then you'll be using taxpayers' money to pay for any default that we make a mistake on in giving somebody a trailer outside of the boundaries and the rules. So we have to keep that in mind, that it's her role to protect the board.
So all we doing is, we putting a trailer there.
Yes.
Just a regular trailer. We ain't touching nothing there.
That's it. I'm trying to be very specific about that.
Yeah.
That the creamers understand, we're putting trailers there with the stairs and everything else. Any addition they want to make in the future, that's on them.
That's
not
what I
on
was
the county.
saying.
I guess right.
That's what I said, put her trailer in there, they wanna work around that, get it in there, set it up, they wanna hook to it later, do whatever they want. I mean, if, I'm doing, whatever your state does, it's nothing with us.
Yeah.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
all right.
Yeah.
Trying to be as clear and decisive as possible.
Trying to
as we-
protect
as
the
we
people's
can.
money, Mr. Grant.
Yep.
I've never blamed you guys. I think the state screwed up real bad, to be honest. I think people should go after the state more. But like he said, I didn't ask for this, nobody else on Regional Wilderness Road asked for this. I know it's not y'all's fault. I appreciate y'all's help, but I have done everything I'm supposed to do. She just comes at the wrong time. So thank y'all, y'all have a great day. Rest of y'all day.
Hopefully it's that.
See y'all in about 6,
Are we good?
I think so. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Deborah.
So as we head towards lunch, I know we could squeeze in the clerk's report. I know as to Mr. Pierce's dismay, I'm not sure if we could squeeze his in, but.
Oh, we can squeeze it in. I have nothing but information, most of which you all know, so I just need to get in the record. I mean, I would rather do that now, because you have people who've been sitting and waiting for me also.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, next on agenda be Ms. Marcia Johnson report.
I got one little small item, which Aaron can answer any questions if y'all have any about it, but since our budget process is beginning soon, We've received complaints from providers as well as from several dissatisfied employees in regards to your county dental insurance plan. So Aaron has, asking the board to sign a letter that will grant Essentia Insurance an ability to explore other dental plan alternatives for us.
Pledge of the board.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Burke. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That pass unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just give me about 10 minutes, I can go through my report, and then, because there are some people who've been waiting for this.
Okay, next on the agenda will be Mr. Allen Pierce, the Restore Coordinator.
Thank you, sir. Again, all my items are information, some of which, most of which you already know about. Inform the board I attended the Triumph meeting on March 3rd in Port St. Joe. Triumph staff had a long presentation about the need and opportunity for job creation in Northwest Florida in the aviation industry. According to Triumph staff, some 9,000 jobs will be needed in Florida in the aviation industry in the next 10 years. To that end, Triumph awarded $2.8 million to Wakulla County Schools to partner with Lively Tech College to train students aircraft repair and maintenance at the Tallahassee Airport. Franklin County students will be eligible to participate in this training, but it's going to take some coordination between the two school systems. The reason the training will have to take place at an airport is that the training classes, the instructors, the materials used all have to take place at an FAA sanctioned facility, and the nearest sanctioned facility is Tallahassee Airport. We are not a sanctioned, we're an airport, but we don't have the same kind of oversight that Tallahassee has. So that's the sort of good news for kids who want to learn about aviation. Number 21, Triumph Chairman Gates also said at the March 3rd meeting the Florida Senate had not approved continuing legislation for the Triumph Board to continue on July 1st, 2021. Chairman Gates said the legislation is stuck in a Senate committee. Now, I wrote this last week, Commissioners. I don't know that's changed. I haven't heard any word. I haven't seen any emails, so I don't think it has changed. If the legislative session fails to act this year, there's still next year's session to get the Triumph Board renewed. If the legislature fails to renew the Triumph Board, then it's my understanding that all Triumph funds would revert to the state of Florida and would then follow the governor and legislature to develop a way to allocate the hundreds of millions, and actually it's billion, dollars of Triumph funds coming to the state. So we just have to wait on what the legislature does or does not do, and we'll know whenever the session ends. Number 3, or number 22, which we've had reference earlier this morning. Inform the board that FDOT has approved the county's request for reclassification study of County Road 370 Alligator Drive. The notice came in the form of an email from District Secretary Gaynor. I will reiterate again that while we appreciate the state of Florida's assistance in getting the classification study, at no point, at no time will this help the state take over the road. The state's not going to become responsible for the road ever. It's still going to be a county road. We just may be able to get federal funds. Next one. Inform the board that Ms. Brownell and I agree that her office should become the point of contact for Alligator Point HMGP acquisition projects. This process has taken a lot longer than I expected, and I'm going to be mostly on retirement activities by mid-May. I have recommended the first priority for the acquisition be the Alligator Point Fire Department. Even though that project was not the first one submitted, the acquisition of the fire department property at the west end is a crucial link in providing safe access to many properties in the event of continued erosion on the west end of the washout. So I hope we get the Alligator Point done first, even though it was not the first one submitted. And I was on a conference call yesterday with the volunteer fire department chief, and we've told him all this. 24, inform the board I attended a FEMA meeting at the EOC on March 10th to learn that FEMA is just now starting the supplemental environmental assessment, or known as EA, for the additional damage Hurricane Michael did to Alligator Drive above what was done by Hurricane Hermine. The additional damage is some 200 feet more of road that had 1,000 feet of damage by Hurricane Hermine. The estimated timeline to complete the supplemental EA is 6 months, which means if the timeline holds, then it will be September before any FEMA funds will be obligated to repair Alligator Drive. I was stunned to learn that FEMA was just now starting the supplemental EA, as I thought the issue of a supplemental EA had been resolved months ago. I consulted with FCMC staff, who was on contract with the state of Florida to help us, and they also thought the issue had been resolved. And so they were going to look into seeing what was going on. I advised the participants at the meeting that a delay until September could have certainly affect the current validity of the bid from Anderson Columbia, because by December, September 2020, the bid will be a year old. I said a lot of other things there that I will not repeat here, but I also advised the meeting participants that another 6-month delay could have many unintended consequences, including the very real threat that Alligator Drive will be unprotected throughout the whole 2020 hurricane season, which is something I was trying hard to avoid. At the meeting, they told us that they would review some of the steps that an EA requires, and maybe they could shorten the timeline, and they would let me know. I have not heard anything back from the participants, so I presume that they couldn't find a way to shorten it. I'm just completely frustrated. This is just something that was not expected. It throws a wrench in everything. Well, it just stops everything. That's all there is to it. It just stops everything. And it's a federal issue, it's not a state issue, there's no point in calling the state of Florida, it's a federal issue. And so our senators, I've contacted one of the staff members, I haven't, the board probably needs to use its initiative and elected officials and call. It's the process, it's frustrating because the processes for federal money is still in effect, and even though these, we thought we'd done these things, but all I can tell you, it's a process, and every day something new comes up.
How about a resolution to our U.S. senators on this issue and support the resolution with?
The resolution, I would just do a letter from the chairman. I mean, a resolution is sort of a formal document, but I'd just do a letter from the chairman, authorized from the chairman saying, look, it's untenable that we continue to flounder around on bureaucratic steps when the road is, and the people are at risk out there. It's just.
If it's appropriate, I'll co-sign that letter with you too, Mr. Chairman.
It's not appropriate.
Do you need that in form of a motion?
Yes.
Then I would like to motion that we do a formal letter to our U.S. senators regarding the issues on this road, and that show the consequences of it, not that this approval not be moved forward timely.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Burt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Mass. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 25, inform the board that I reviewed the draft state plan for expenditure of $735 million worth of CDBG DR, which stands for Disaster Recovery Funds. The plan is some 150 pages and is online at the DEO website. The bulk of the funds will be directed towards housing projects in the Hurricane Michael impact area. The plan does not mention workforce housing as an allowable project, so I'm not sure Franklin County or any other county will be able to pursue workforce housing projects, but there are millions of dollars allocated to help repair existing homes. There are details in the plan which I'm not, I can't decipher for you all, so maybe workforce housing would be eligible, but it didn't appear to be on the surface. The state will send the draft plan to HUD by June, and then HUD still has some time to approve the plan. The timeline for application from the county is still estimated December. In order for the county to maximize its application, I previously recommended to the board that we select a CDBG DR grant writer. I have sought direction from DEO on what standards they might impose for grant writers, and I'm waiting their response. I've also asked Mr. Schuer to check with Gulf County about their CDBG DR grant writer that they have just hired in the case Franklin County wants to piggyback and use the Gulf County selection. So we don't need to act on that now, but Mr. Schuer is waiting for responses there. The good news in the draft plan is that it proposes to allow CDBG DR funds to be used as a match for counties who receive Hurricane Michael hazard mitigation funds. Franklin County has an allocation of some $5.9 million of hazard mitigation funds, but the use of those funds requires a 25% match. At this time, Ms. Brownell is investigating using some of the Franklin County hazard mitigation funds for upgrading generators at the EOC, the fuel farm, Williams Hospital, Williams East, and a portable generator at the courthouse. Ms. Brownell will come back to the board with specific details of those generator upgrades, but if the state will approve the use of CDBG DR funds as a match, this will allow the county to apply for all those generators without dipping into cash reserves to meet the match requirements. So that's a very good step in the plan, and we hope that the state will, hope that feds will approve that. Since this draft CDBG DR plan already includes a provision for using funds as a match for hazard mitigation funds, there is no need for the board to finalize the resolution Mr. Marone presented at the last board meeting presenting this same project. I will defer to the county attorney, but a motion might need to be made to clear the record that the board did not send the resolution authorized the last meeting. I mean, the resolution hasn't been written, Mr. Marone hasn't finished it yet.
You say you need a motion?
You want the board, you're recommending that the board rescind the approval for the resolution?
Yes, because it's not necessary, it's already in the state plan.
That would have to be by motion.
Okay.
I make a motion.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, before Mr. Pierce moves on, just for the record, I'm not going to check with Gulf County on their processes for hiring their consultant until Mr. Pierce gets a communication back from the state. It may be that they don't allow piggybacking, and we don't know what the state's going to require. So,
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the last item is hopefully the most sort of important here. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers staff has provided the county with a recommended dredging plan for the East Point Channel and a proposed cost. I met with the representative last week. The recommended dredging plan will redredge the channel to its authorized depth of 6 feet at mean low water, with 1 more foot of over dredging. So you have a total of 7 feet of depth there in the channel. The plan will create spoil containment areas on the outside of the existing East Point breakwater that will stabilize over time, similar to the islands that were created outside the 2 mile channel here in Apalachicola. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers did receive $2 million of federal funds to design and dredge the East Point Channel. At the county's request, the Corps has first done the East Point Channel and now has begun working on the design and permitting for the 2 Mile Channel. The Corps estimates it has $1.2 million in fund remaining for dredging the East Point Channel, and their estimated cost for dredging is $3.2 million. So the county will need to utilize funds we have allocated from the consortium to complete the dredging of East Point and 2 Mile. The Corps estimates that Franklin County will need to provide $2 million for the East Point Channel and $2 million for the 2 Mile Channel. While the Corps was in the office, I called Mr. Dan Duarte, Gulf Consortium staff, and the Corps and Mr. Duarte spoke about the process for getting the county funds available to the Corps. Mr. Duarte confirmed that Franklin County has some $4 to $5 million of consortium funds currently available, so we have the necessary funds. But the problem is, or the challenge is, that there could be a 4-month time lag in getting the funds out of the consortium. Because I say parenthetically, the money really isn't in the consortium. The money is still at the Gulf Council, which is a federal deal. So, we have a little bit of bureaucratic shifting to go around. Mr. Duarte said there's a process with consortium to pre-award our funds so they would be available when the Corps needs it. Over the next few weeks, I will be working with Mr. Duarte to understand what the county needs to provide in order to have our funds pre-awarded. And in fact, I did speak to Mr. Duarte yesterday. I've got a list of things I need to do, and I'm going to put it in a letter form, so I believe I can get this done pretty quickly. While the county has engaged ARPC to assist the county in applying for our consortium fund, if it appears to me that'll be faster and easier for me to make the application on behalf, that I will. So that's what I'm doing now. It'll be a letter format, listing what the things the Corps said we need to do, and this is what the money we need, and give it to Mr. Duarte. He will then go to the Gulf Council, and the Gulf Council hopefully will take this letter and give us a pre-award, which means they'll free up the money contingent upon final actions. But I think that's how it's going to work. We have also asked the finance office to look at a short-term funding mechanism, because we know we have money on the consortium. It's just a matter of can we get it out in time to pay the Corps when they need it. But either way, I think there's going to be money available.
You want me to mention the financing option?
You can if you want to.
Yes, I had spoken with Commissioner Ricky Jones in regards to the Florida Local Government Finance Program, and also Commissioner Parrish. They actually have something available where it's actually short-term financing options. A lot of counties use them for beach renourishment projects, road construction, different things, and it's short-term, so it has to be less than 1 year. However, the issuance costs are, relatively low. It's only $2,000 per $1 million borrowed, so that would be an initial issuance cost of $8,000 for the debt. And then the estimated monthly fees are about 2.66%, and that includes the interest on the commercial paper, and then also any basis points that are charged for administrative fees. So you'd be looking at a monthly fee of $8,866.67 in carrying cost until we were able to get the reimbursement. So it's a really good program. Doesn't work for long-term projects, but in this instance, it would be something that we should definitely pursue.
Be $8,000 a month?
For $4 million. Yeah, so it depends on how much you all need up front. I mean, if we only do $1 million, that would of course be less. It's going to be 2.66%.
Where would we get $8,000 a month though?
Well, hopefully you don't need it for 2 or 3 months. You get it out of your reserves. I mean, you're only borrowing the money until the consortium money was freed up, and you may not need to borrow it at all. Consortium may be pre-award us.
I hope so.
Yeah, worst case scenario, you have the option.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, if they don't pre-award us, then we have a challenge on it.
Well, I mean, we can look at that as we go further down the line, but hopefully we can get this.
Well, let me
Because it's
ask you-
going to the Corps of Engineers, which is a federal agency. It ain't like we're going out for bid for contractors to do our dredging or anything else. It's just a straight allocation from consortium to a federal agency, and I think that maybe that'll help us some. I'm hoping it does.
I hope so.
You feel okay, Aaron, with that money?
What the-
The carrying charges for 3 months?
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, if we have to go this route, it's a good path to go down.
Okay.
But hopefully, as Commissioner Parrish said, with it being the Corps and the consortium, maybe we won't have to do that at all.
Well, didn't they just went down on the interest rate? Would that affect, would that come on?
It will have effect on this, because this is short term, so it will. 2.66% is the average.
By the time we get there, it might be lower.
It might be low.
0.25.
We'll see.
We'll see. Okay, come on, let's get to.
So my last paragraph is, it will be my intent to ask for enough pre-award funds that we can dredge both channels at the schedule the Corps develops. In the best case scenario, each one will be dredged this August, September, then followed by the 2 mile. I expect I will ask for all the available consortium funds so that any other projects the county might want to consider will have to wait until more consortium funds become available. Franklin County will ultimately receive some $11.7 million in consortium funds, but the funds come to the consortium over a 15-year period. If we use all of our available consortium funds for dredging the 2 channels, the board needs to realize it might be 2023 or so before enough funds will be accumulated to consider additional consortium projects, and the other project in the pipeline would be your EOC. So I don't want to mislead people. You know, we want to get the channels dredged, but that may cause construction funds to the EOC to be delayed if we don't find another funding source for the EOC.
Well, Mr. Chairman, in addition to that, Alan, the reason we're going with the channels now is when people were communicated to us, the county, several months back, that they actually had an allocation for the federal
Yes.
government.
Yes, they need to spend their money.
So they have some money that they need to spend it.
Yes.
If they don't, it'll go away too.
Yes, that's correct.
So that's
Yeah.
why we're,
That's what's driving this bus.
that's why we're going this way instead of the EOC.
Yes, that's
currently.
correct. That's
Yeah.
correct. That's correct. So unless there's any questions, Mr. Chairman, that's my report.
Yeah, okay. Keep up the good work. Thank you for
Well,
that.
since I gave you mostly bad news there, I'm not sure it's good work, but anyway, I appreciate the thought.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
It's all part
Good or
of it.
It's all
bad.
part of it.
All right, what y'all wanna,
You gonna finish up, Michael? Y'all wanna come back or what?
what y'all wanna do?
Where's Michael leaving
Let's
at?
finish up, Michael,
Let's do it.
I got a doctor.
so we finish up from 2 and be done for the day.
We can do that. Wait, Michael.
Right here, I'm sorry. You wanna keep
Get you
going?
and then
Yep.
we'll be through.
Yeah. You got just a few left
We see
out
the
there.
finish line, sir.
Finished up.
You see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I apologize for walking away, Commissioners. Okay, so we addressed 27, 28, and 29 already. Number 30, as stated in the previous meeting on page 9, I was able to extend the USDA March 12, 20 deadline to March 23rd, 6 days away. This deadline is based on a letter asking the county to indicate if USDA should continue to obligate the $10 million for the hospital improvement project. USDA obligated a $10 million loan on June 22nd of 2015. And with the exception of recent conversation, there's been no significant or expressed interest in proceeding with this project since a March 12, 2019 conference call. Currently, the board has 2 building projects to consider. The first is a 22,000 square foot addition to the existing facility, commonly referred to as the new hospital project, or in Ascension Sacred Heart proposed 12,000 square foot freestanding hospital emergency department. As of today, USDA has not committed to fund the freestanding hospital emergency department, but has agreed to consider it if submitted by the county for review. USDA has indicated that if significant progress is not made by the 5-year anniversary date, June 22nd, 2020, the funds will be deobligated and there's little chance for extension beyond that date. There's no indication that the board is ready to commit to any of the 2 building projects today, and since June 22nd is slightly over 90 days away, it is unlikely that significant process will be made by the 5-year anniversary date. Therefore, unless directed otherwise, I would like to forward a letter to USDA explaining the board's current position and ask them to notify the county when they decide to deobligate the funds. I would prefer that the county actions on this loan are proactive to keep us in good standing with USDA, especially when the county decides on a building project and if it becomes necessary to reapply for USDA loan. So,
I just don't understand. This don't make no sense. It don't make no sense in the world. That was a binding vote. It wasn't unbinding, it was binding. And by it being a binding vote, that's law. And you can't change, you just can't change the law like that, cause a few people don't like it. They ain't like it in the beginning, they don't like it now. We got obligation. It's not the people of the commissioner changed, but that law has not changed. That was a binding vote we took and told the people we're gonna build that hospital and build this over there in Carabel that And you play with it what you want. Listening to them Rudy Poots or whatever. You play with it, you're gonna be in some, you're gonna cost the county some money. Play with it if you want. They don't care. Then they gonna talk about you.
Mr. Chairman, I understand what you're saying. The purpose right now is to see if we can preserve that loan potential here. And the USDA has indicated that if significant progress relative to that loan is not made, any idea what they describe as significant progress? Because we've had a history of the last 6 or 8 months of really accelerating the conversation about this facility. Do you think that they can see that we're really working hard and extend time as we plan this thing?
I mean, Commissioner, excuse me, I don't know. I can't answer the question for you, but what I'm going to do is exactly what you're saying. I'm going to send a letter with all what we've done, where we are, the decision, what we have to review, you know, what we're going to look at. You know, there's still a lot of information for you guys to sit back and review and make a decision. I'm going to send that to them, and I'm not telling them to deobligate on behalf of the county. I'm saying, look, if it becomes necessary where they feel they have to deobligate, just let us know. Just let us know. I mean, and then at that time when they inform me, I'll inform you, and then you guys could decide if you want to do something else.
Right. I just want to know how we gonna break the law. Just gonna make our law. Every time we do it with the rest of it. You changing this, you gonna change this and change the rest of it. The law is the law. It's a binding vote. If you read it, that's what it says. Do what you want. Somebody gonna end up suing you.
If any county is a great county to loan money to, it's Franklin County. And we will make valuable use of their dollars.
Yeah, you ain't finna make value of yours. I'm Rick. Take the cap. I make a motion, we build that hospital.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Do I hear a second? Motion dies for lack of a second.
When they go to suing, you make sure you put down there and make that motion so they won't sue me.
Now, I do need a motion of some direction. That's
I
if
make-
you accept the recommendation I've posted in front of you.
To figure out what we're gonna do.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure, I'll second that.
Have a motion by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's unanimous.
All right, Commissioners. Item 31, Mr. Currington has notified me that the county received the modified plans and specifications for County Road 67, Tallahassee Street Sidewalk Project. These revisions reduce the length of the sidewalk by just over a mile. The engineers have updated the City of Carabel about the changes. The Florida Department of Transportation has approved the plans and have provided a supplemental agreement and authorized the county to proceed with advertising for bids. The bid opening will be at the April 21st meeting. Board action to approve the resolution, which authorizes the supplemental agreement and authorize the chairman's signature on both documents.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's unanimous.
Mr. Currington has also received the time extension on the FWC Boating Improvement Grant to design improvements to Old Ferry Dock Boat Ramp in East Point. The new extends the deadline for the project until June 30th, 2020. Once again, board action to authorize the chairman's signature on the time extension.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Massey made the motion, Commissioner Bolt made the second. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's unanimous.
Next item, 33. On Wednesday, March 11th, the Franklin County Complete Count Committee for the 2020 census, working through our office, applied for a grant of $4,500 from the National League of Cities Census Rapid Response Grant Program. If received, the funds will be used to expand the capacity of our census assistance centers through the purchase of internet hotspots, that's internet access devices, inexpensive laptops, and food for families that come to special events to access the census questionnaire online. The deadline was Friday, March 13th. Given the national and state declarations of emergency, the committee is awaiting instructions and information from the Census Bureau about going forward with the census count. If the use of local centers is discouraged by the Bureau, we will develop a different outreach strategy. We may be able to repurpose the grant if received, or we may just decline the grant. The board will be notified of the success of the grant application and any recommendations to accept or deny the grant. Board action to ratify the grant submission.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Parrish. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is unanimous.
An item not on my report, Commissioners, I received from Grayson Shepherd, application, artificial reef construction grant application that will be needed for the, where the chairman's signature will be needed on this. However, Attorney Schuler pointed out to me, there are some attachments that's not been included in the packet I would receive. I would ask the board to authorize the chairman's signature on this application pending I get a complete application from Mr. Grant, from Grayson Shepherd. I'm so sorry here. So because, again, I pointed out to you, this is one of those months with an extra Tuesday. We may not, well, we're not scheduled to meet again until April. God knows what will be going on then, if we can meet at that date. So if you guys give me permission today, I can get this application completed and get the chairman to sign it.
So moved.
Have a motion
I'll second that.
by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is unanimous.
I just do a terrible Alan Pierce, don't I? I just can't do fast. So the information item, of course, is like every other event that you've heard about, canceling that Ford Tri-Motor National Tour that was stopping here in Appalachia for a few days. So I heard from Centric, and they say they're already in the process of refunding all reservations that were made for that, because apparently they got a lot of people that wanted to do that. So I just wanted to be a public record that they are already started the refund process on that, okay? And,
Michael, before we go on, I have a question for you.
yes, sir?
So I know we're gonna have several weeks in between this meeting and the next meeting. Do you need any direction from this board to find out or pursue, should you need to, another way to either live stream the meeting or
Well-
do something different
Let me say this to you. So on my
in case?
on my portal, because the Attorney Schuler has the county attorney, state attorneys, and I have one for county for managers. So they are talking about this and different options that they can use, because the key here is, how can you have a meeting, not have a crowd, but it meets sunshine
There
regulations?
you go.
So I'm looking at all those options. So some people are talking about live stream. I'm talking about putting the whole situation where we now put a TV with a camera there and people can interact, from on the web. Then there's the phone line version where people can call a number and they can hear what's going on in the meeting, not so much for interaction purposes. So I'm looking at all that. If I'm looking at options. If it gets to a point, Commissioners, where the governor restricts and somehow he's able to, I don't know, Attorney Schuler, to suspend sunshine law,
I've been, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair- or
go
Mr.
ahead.
Vice Chair, may I? I've been checking updates on my phone during the meeting with the county attorneys, and several county attorneys are interacting with the Attorney General's office, who's going to render an opinion regarding the open meeting laws, and whatever opinion the AG's office issues, the governor's going to accept. That opinion has not yet been issued, but once it is issued and I'm aware of it, I will distribute that to Mr. Morone as well as the commissioners themselves, and also Madam Clerk.
And at that point, then I will come up with a solution based on whatever the opinion is, what they say we would have to do, to keep them.
So based on these discussions, there is a real likelihood that if anything does get changed, we will have to call a special meeting to approve whatever is gonna be done
Yes.
in between now and the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, that's
And
fine.
if I might, when you're looking at doing something other than a live meeting, doing stuff on the telephone, what, you got people trying to talk, somebody else trying to talk, somebody else, you know, it gets
Yeah.
real cumbersome trying to do that. and
Yeah.
Saying, okay, public comment, you got 900 people trying to talk at one time. Nobody knows who's waiting in line because they're not seeing each other like you will in a live meeting.
Yeah.
So they're all trying to talk at one time. So when you're looking at all this stuff, Michael, take that into consideration because this same issue's come up to the consortium board.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, same issue. Can we just, they can't vote on the consortium items if they're not there in person. But a lot of people are saying, well, I couldn't make the meeting, so now I'm no longer a true participant. I can be on the phone, but you got 10 people on the phone all trying to talk at the same time. They won't let you finish for somebody else cuts you in and butts you out. And I mean, it just becomes real cumbersome. So you need to look at all that when you're talking about trying to do something alternative, and we don't know what the state's coming up with. I was told they were looking at this on Thursday and Friday of last week of how we can still have a county commission meeting but not have the public here involved and still meet the sunshine law requirements. Now, I don't know if they can do some things under an emergency executive order. I don't know. I mean, as you said, and Ricky was talking about, Commissioner Jones was talking about earlier, they're looking at all this stuff and how it all works. I don't know, but as far as somebody calling in and presenting public comment, you know, I don't know how all that works.
Yeah.
Because if you have an open mic, you got 15 people wanting to talk.
Yeah. Well,
Some way you gotta know who's on that line and who's wanting to talk, and they don't talk until you actually call their name for their comment or something. I mean, there has to be some way worked out. You just can't have an open mic and people just stomping on
There is.
top of each other.
I remember my days at the clerk's office, some of the conferences we had, you know, some of the software they have, you have to register by your name. You have to know who your name and, you know, you log in and all that. And then what they do, they tell you to raise your hand, and you have to click an icon with your hand raised, and then the what do you call it, the person in charge, the moderator, would then hit yours, and then it unmute your microphone, and then you can talk, and when you're through, then they mute you back in the next person, you know. And so there's a very orderly way, but let me tell this board this, it doesn't come cheap. I'm not here to pretend with you guys, it does not come cheap, especially if you want to
We
add.
have the state of emergency, we're good.
Oh, that's how it works. Especially if you want to add the video to it, you know, there's some expense there.
We gotta be 12 foot apart, so that's gonna be interesting.
Would that fall under the category B that Pam was talking about?
I will ask
Or
her.
we don't know?
I will ask her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just have the meeting and hope for the best.
Just, you know. I'll say this to you, Commissioner Massey, just make sure you're dressed appropriately when I click into your camera, that's all.
I got the good Lord on my side, ain't worried about it.
All right, Commissioner,
Is that
that's,
it?
yes.
Do you want to go ahead and do your report, sir?
Mr. Vice Chairman, I only have one action item for the board's consideration. I have previously sent to you last week a copy of a proposed contract between the county and the school board for the county to provide the limited services to assist the school board in construction of their emergency escape road. Essentially, the school would be in charge of clearing the path and having the debris removed out of the path. This is going to be 24 feet wide. They're going to clear approximately 1 mile of a 2-mile escape road. They've got, from our engineer's estimate, as I recall, the school's got about $70,000, which means they can probably get about a half mile of lime rock down. Once the path is cleared and the school has purchased, delivered, and spread the lime rock, your road department would take its motor grader and basically dress up and clean up the lime rock. And then at some point during the late fall or winter, the forestry department has authorized burning in place. And you would then take your excavator with the thumb. The one that Fonda has is the only one that was working when we drafted this, but now it's been damaged, so it's presently not operational. My understanding is that excavator with the thumb would then pick up that woody debris and drop it into an incinerator to be provided by the school board. Forestry is estimated for both the purposes of the county and the school board approximately not to exceed 33 tons of debris to be cleared out of that 1 mile path, 24 feet wide. Of that 24 feet, there's already sort of a little goat trail going through there, so we're roughly estimating that 8 to 10 feet of that path has already been cleared. I frankly was skeptical of the school, or the forestry's estimate of the woody debris. I mean, a mile-long section of woods being cleared to me seemed like it would generate more than the original estimate, which was 22 tons, less treetops and stumps and things of that nature. So I talked to forestry. Mr. Clint Davis went back out into the field personally and looked at it as opposed to just, you know, looking on a map or something, or some of their existing data. He then took that updated information and sent it into his office and had them recalculate. And he seems very comfortable that the total amount of debris that the county would pick up and then place into the incinerator for burning, not to exceed 33 tons. To put that into some perspective, that's approximately 2 log trucks that are filled up that you see driving down, or loaded up and driving down the road. I've talked to Buster. He's comfortable with this agreement, and again, it's going to be on our personnel and equipment would be on an as available basis. So the school board understands that. They've accepted that. I have sent this agreement to the school board's attorney, Ms. Sanders, and she has represented to me that the school board accepts and agrees with all the terms and conditions laid out in this agreement. And also embedded within this agreement is that, you know, to the extent there's any damages or liabilities or injuries that result, the school board would hold the county harmless. And that would also include any escaped fires that potentially could occur from the deburning of the debris. So I'm recommending approval of the agreement, subject to any questions that the board may have for me.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion?
Discussion.
Discussion is, we don't have prisoners for the next 30 days or maybe even next 60 days. All of our county staff is now gonna have to get a weed eater or a lawnmower and start cutting these roads around Franklin County.
Yep.
How are we going to dedicate staff to building this road at this particular time in the situation that we're in?
There's been some refinement of the agreement from its original iteration until we are where we are today. Originally, the provision was that the school board was asking the county to actually spread the lime rock once it was delivered on site. The school board, frankly, Buster did a really good job. The school board has now taken on the task of paying to have the hauling company spread the lime rock, so we won't have that task to do anymore. Buster has told me that taking the motor grader out and grading and dressing up this lime rock once it's been spread by the school board is not a heavy lift. It's not very labor intensive. If I remember correctly, he's thinking it might take a couple of hours to go out and do this. But again, the contract is on an as available basis, and if Buster says we're not available with our personnel on our motor grader, then they don't go out there. The school board understands that. Buster thinks, of course, the facts have developed and changed since Buster and I had this conversation, but I just feel like the agreement is about as good as we're going to get. It limits the county's involvement, it limits our obligations, and frankly, there's a termination provision that says if we can't do it and we feel like we just, for these changed circumstances, can't provide these services, we can terminate the agreement and move on.
And you know,
He keeps somebody pretty steady on the grader.
I'm sorry?
He keeps someone pretty steady grading.
Yeah.
and you know, this is such a good thing for the county. Back last year when we had Hurricane Nestor, how intra-county departments worked together. The road department borrowed the excavator from the landfill, and we facilitated the repair of Alligator Road at that point. And now we have a neat thing going on where we have now intra-boards in our county, working school board, working with the county commission board, and how we really do a good job in working with our money. I think this is going to be a good thing. We'll work it out.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's unanimous.
That's all I have for the board, Mr. Vice Chair.
Okay. Any commissioner comments? Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.